Hey crafty cuties, welcome back to Paper Terrace. If you're new, I'm Jessica. And today I am going to be talking about how I made over $4,000 in 48 hours. But that's why I'm hopping in here real quick to do a little intro, because I know that titling my whole video like that could be a little clickbaity, because honestly I'm going to be taking you through kind of vlog style. This is a part of a whole series, and I'm still going to continue that same style in this video, but because I definitely titled it and I'm highlighting the fact that I'm going to share with you how I made over $4,000 in 48 hours, I just wanted to let you know that I will be talking about it more at the end of the video. But a little disclaimer is that, number one, I'm not going to be sharing any specific formulas for how I price my handmade items. I'm just going to give you kind of a general idea. I will specifically be going over and telling you exactly what I priced these advent packs, just in case you didn't know. I'm always curious about how other handmade journal makers price theirs. And so yes, I will be going over the exact prices for you, a little breakdown of how I made exactly that much. And I will also give you more of a general idea of what type of formula I use to come up with a price for my journals and journal packs. So like I said, we're going to get back into the vlog part of the video, taking you through the last parts, the last steps of how I bring together my sale. And I feel like there is a lot of good information in there that kind of goes into pricing as well. So I'll see you at the end and right now. Today, I am going to go over some of the last few steps of creating a journal collection. And if this is the first video that you have either stumbled upon or the first video in this series, I will have the playlist down below so you can see everything from the start up until now for how I create a journal collection. So at this point, and I think this is part 6, I am getting to the point where it's getting very close that I have a deadline that I need to be done with the journal collection. I need to place it up for sale, and I am specifically listing this on Black Friday, which you probably already know it's a huge sale day. So it's actually very crucial that I hit that deadline and meet that date. And I actually ended up getting sick during this whole series and missed quite a few days, which actually really put me behind, but I think that I still will be able to make all of the deadlines. And this journal collection also, it's also very important that I put all of the journal, or that I put the journal collection up for sale on that certain day, because I also have a very, very important deadline to ship things out, because this journal collection goes along with a challenge of, or like a series of videos or a challenge that starts on a specific date. And so I need to ship these out and make sure that they are in the hands of the recipients prior to that date. So as you can see, I'm sitting here at my desk. I have my laptop, and I thought I would just go over a few of the last minute like things for getting your collection ready to sell. Now, as I mentioned, I'm not actually even completely done with creating all of the parts of it, but this is the point where I kind of have to go back and forth to, again, make sure that I have the ability to list these on that specific date. So I'm kind of jumping ahead, and I still kind of want to give you an idea of what that looks like to go back and forth, but also stay organized. So right now I have actually just taken a break from creating, and I'm working on more of the back end of it. Right now I'm on my computer because I'm going to make up some little like welcome notes that will go into this journal collection. I don't always do this with just my regular journals, but I still think it's kind of a fun idea, and I might for the future. The reason I'm doing it for this journal collection is because I want to include some instructions. So if this was maybe purchased for someone as a gift, or even if someone buys it and is familiar with my channel, they'll have all of the instructions right there in their hand so that they can know like what day they start opening the packs, where they can see the videos. And again, most of the people probably know this information, but I still think that it will actually just make this seem like such a more like, I guess, professional little journal pack. So I'm going to work on creating up just a really simple little welcome note that explains all of that information. And when I'm done with it, I'll go ahead and show you. And then we are gonna also get over to my desk over here, and I am going to start working on some of the labels that will number each of these packs. And I'm doing it in the most cost-efficient way, so I'll show you what that is in just a moment. Okay, I finished designing the little welcome notes, and now I need to make some labels that will say Merry Christmas, or do not open until Christmas Day. I think that's what I'll say, because I am going to put that on the extra bonus pack that comes in these in this collection, that will just not really be a part of the journaling challenge, but it's an extra little gift for the recipient. So I will make that, and then we can print these out. And I think that these little details in any kind of journal collection are what really can make your products, stand out and be remembered for the future months and years. Okay, I'm just gonna double check and make sure that I am happy that I didn't have any typos. It would be funny if I didn't think I did and you did see them. And I printed it on the back of some Christmassy paper. So I will do that and then print out the rest of these. Okay, so I just got done printing out the little welcome letter that goes inside. And then I made a label to go on the bonus gift so that the recipient knows when to open that, just to, be sure that it's clearly labeled. And I also am labeling the journal, which is actually not even a part of the 12 packs either. It's like the main gift. And so I want to make sure that that is labeled. The sun is coming in like crazy. So now I'm going to go back to finishing my number labels for each of the packs. So I did want to just show you again and explain that, especially with having ADHD, I do sometimes go back and forth. I do really need to be getting back into finishing creating all of the handmade things that are going in the packs. But once again, for me, kind of going back and forth makes me feel like I can get a better idea that I am on track for deadlines and things like that, because I do have to have all of these done in order to get my product photos. So even if I don't have all of the packs done before I get a product photo, I do need to have all of the final pieces that will go into one of the kits at least. So I'm going to continue my stamping, and then I think I'm going to hopefully work on the product photos. So I'll see you back here. For you, it'll just be a second. For me, it could maybe be another day. So as I'm working on some of the handmade embellishments for the packs, I came across a little, I guess, kind of thought in my head that I thought I would share with you on why, for me, it's so important to do assembly line style on my handmade items. And so let me show you what I am creating right now. It's this little belly band that goes inside a journal, and it's a pretty simple little handmade item, but it actually has quite a few different steps to it. They're all very, very simple, but let me just point that out real quick. So 1, I put washi tape at the top. 2, I put, I have a stamp right here. I ink the edges. I cut out the little snowflakes. And I also fold this up, glue it, add a tag, and then I also add some kind of sticker embellishment. You can see they all look a little bit different. So again, simple, but what happens is if I'm going through and doing these one by one, now you can see I already did some of the steps to this, but if I do them one by one, it can be really easy for me to miss one of the steps, even as simple as forgetting the washi tape at the top, which might not be a big deal, but it's still taking away from the final look. So this is why I try to stick to assembly line style as much as possible. So right now I folded them up. I went through all of them, cut out the snowflakes, the stamping, the inking. Now I'm going back through each one and I'm cutting out the little circle notch. So I just wanted to point that out, that this is another reason why I stick to assembly line, so that I don't forget anything and it keeps everything a lot more organized. Also, this is probably, I think, pack number 6, just to give you an idea of where I'm at. When I get a little bit further, I'll do another check-in. Okay, so I just got done printing out the little welcome letter that goes inside. And then I made a label to go on the bonus gift so that the recipient knows when to open that, just to, be sure that it's clearly labeled. And I also am labeling the journal, which is actually not even a part of the 12 packs either. It's like the main gift. And so I want to make sure that that is labeled. The sun is coming in like crazy. So now I'm going to go back to finishing my number labels for each of the packs. So I did want to just show you again and explain that, especially with having ADHD, I do sometimes go back and forth. I do really need to be getting back into finishing creating all of the handmade things that are going in the packs, but once again, for me, kind of going back and forth makes me feel like I can get a better idea that I am on track for deadlines and things like that, because I do have to have all of these done in order to get my product photos. So even if I don't have all of the packs done before I get a product photo, I do need to have all of the final pieces that will go into one of the kits at least. So I'm going to continue my stamping, and then I think I'm going to hopefully work on the product photos. So I'll see you back here. For you, it'll just be a second. For me, it could maybe be another day. So it's the next day. Today is actually Thanksgiving, and I am going through all of the products that I have listed on my website. This is just a little side note to kind of give you a better idea of how I'm prepping for my Black Friday sale. So again, I'm going through to see what I actually have available. I'm putting all of the things that I already have on sale. It's always a good idea to try and upsell anything that you can for like an add-on on your website, and I do need to clean these out anyways. And I got done taking my product photo for the website. I just keep it pretty simple again because I'm doing a video to really show and explain more about this pack. So I am about to turn this camera on and film my journal collection video, and then I will also announce in that video when these are going to be available. I already started working on the listing, and I think I got pricing figured out, and I'll talk a little bit more about pricing and how I determined the pricing for these at the end of this video. Hi. It's time for a checkup. Today is actually Thanksgiving. So if you remembered that I mentioned that tomorrow is Black Friday and that is my sale. However, since I have Patreon members, and one of the perks of a Patreon member is that you get first dibs at my sales. And so I actually went ahead and wasn't able to film all of this, but I went ahead and made half of the Advent journal packs available today on Thanksgiving. I didn't think they were going to go that fast, but they just about sold out in 1 hour. So thankful. Again, I'm still going to talk a little bit about pricing just right at the end of this, but I did want to do a quick little check-in. So now I am pretty confident that all of the packs are going to sell by tomorrow once I make all of them available. So again, it is Thanksgiving, so I've got my babes here. I am working though, and I am trying to do my absolute best to finish up creating some of the handmade journal packs. So I'm going to keep working on that. When I come back, we'll talk about pricing and the final listing process and everything. Hi. It's time for a checkup. Today is actually Thanksgiving. So if you remembered that I mentioned that tomorrow is Black Friday and that is my sale. However, since I have Patreon members, and one of the perks of a Patreon member is that you get first dibs at my sales. And so I actually went ahead and wasn't able to film all of this, but I went ahead and made half of the Advent journal packs available today on Thanksgiving. I didn't think they were going to go that fast, but they just about sold out in 1 hour. So thankful. Again, I'm still going to talk a little bit about pricing just right at the end of this, but I did want to do a quick little check-in. So now I am pretty confident that all of the packs are going to sell by tomorrow once I make all of them available. So again, it is Thanksgiving, so I've got my babes here. I am working though, and I am trying to do my absolute best to finish up creating some of the handmade journal packs. So I'm going to keep working on that. When I come back, we'll talk about pricing and the final listing process and everything. It's Black Friday, and I'm gonna just do a little flip through of these really cute little hidden paper clips. I'm packaging these up along with a bunch of other little things. So yes, today's Black Friday. I have almost sold out of my Advent journal packs, and I have sold quite a few other things that really needed to get cleaned out of my shop. I placed those things on sale, but I also gave an additional coupon code to my Patreon members today. Now I know that a bunch of people already shopped yesterday. In fact, I had someone comment and say, well, I didn't know you were gonna have a coupon code because I did shopping yesterday, but it is Black Friday and that's kind of how it goes. I also wasn't planning to do a coupon code, but I saw that I had quite a few things left in my shop and I really needed to clean those out. But I wouldn't have shared the coupon code on the first day because really I would have been out money. It doesn't really benefit me. I usually only do a coupon code if I'm like, oh shoot, I really need to just get these things out and I'm willing to take that price cut. So anyways, I'm really happy with how the sale is going, and I think that in the next clip I'm actually going to sit down with you guys, talk more about pricing, and tell you the grand total of how much I made on this sale. And that's a wrap. They all sold out, so I'm packaging them up to take them to the post office. Yay! All right, so I am hopping back on now, and we are finally going to talk about pricing, how I came up with a price, what I priced my Advent journal packs, a little bit more about the sale and how it went. And I'm going to give you some general ideas about how I come up with pricing and basically how I was able to make that much money in 48 hours. I'll put a little screenshot here to just show you that I did in fact make over $4,000. So that's really exciting, and thanks to all of you who purchased one of my kits. Now, if you guys have been watching the series, you know that I listed 21 of the journal packs, and I priced them at $195. My Patreon members do get a little bit of a discount, and a lot of times I'm just discounting the shipping. So if you're a Patreon member, you're able to grab one of my journal packs at $175. I didn't actually intend to do that big of a discount, but I did, and you know, I'm fine with that because my Patreon members also pay me like a monthly fee or a monthly price, subscription price for my journal pack. So I really just wanted to be able to offer that to them at as much of a discount as I could handle. So I also listed quite a few other sale items, which did go into my final price. I think I ended up making like $4,400, I think, like that in a matter of 48 hours. Now, the little clickbait part of that is that I made that much money in 48 hours, but it took me weeks and weeks of creating these handmade items. So there's that, but to me it always feels like such a great way to end a journal series is by seeing how much money I make, because that is how I pay my bills. That is my income. Obviously I make income from YouTube and Patreon and other ways, but let's talk about pricing because I get this asked all the time and I've never made a video, and that's why I'm also gonna not give too much information because I don't want to give you a formula to follow. There's just too many variables that go into it. However, I will put a link below for a really good formula that you can follow, but I just don't think that following a formula for handmade items is the best way. However, I do take into account many things, and I do have notes because it's a lot here. So the main things that I am keeping in mind when I'm pricing my items is material costs, packaging, website fees, or if you sell on Etsy fees. There are a lot of fees that go into that. My time, and I absolutely do not pay myself enough for my time. However, when you're making handmade items, sadly, most of the time you kind of can't, and that's why a lot of people give up on handmade things. But because I have income streaming from so many other places, I am still able to make it happen and make it work for me. And then I also take into consideration shipping. So materials, packaging, website fees, time, shipping. There's obviously a lot of other factors that really should go into your pricing if you do want to get paid what you absolutely should. But I basically, now I don't, so I gave you an idea of a formula. I only used this formula in the beginning when I started selling probably 6 years ago. After that, I was able to get a really good idea of how to price my journals, how to price my journal packs in a way that I felt happy with, in a way that I knew that I was at least making some profit. Probably not enough, but again, that's just how it goes. And so I don't use this formula every time. I now just kind of have an idea, a sense of what to price my things. However, I will take into consideration if I'm doing a certain, like a special type of journal. And let's say I'm using a lot of extra vintage items. I will kind of price that out and figure out how much am I actually spending per journal. And then I might add that on to like my base price. I typically sell my journals between $120 to $200, and that is a big range, but that's because I make such a variety of journals. I also make some mini journals that are probably under $100, but the best way that I'm able to price my things and make the most money is by doing journal collections, which is what I just went over this whole series about. But here are some other things that really go into your pricing, and it's going to be your experience. How much experience do you have making journals? If you're new, you're probably going to stay on the lower end of pricing your things. If you have a following, and I kind of hate this part, but it's just how it goes. If you have a large following on YouTube, then the demand is going to be a lot higher. People are paying for your name, just like a brand. And so I do take that into consideration, and I do take advantage of that a little bit, but I feel like I'm very fair with it. People like Johanna Clow, if you're familiar with her, she makes awesome journals, and she's able to sell them at quite a bit higher price, and they sell out instantly. So that demand is there. She probably could even raise her prices some. I'm not saying to do that. One day I really want to get one of her journals, but yeah, so demand is another thing. So I knew that last year when I made similar Advent journal packs, they sold out way too quick. I think I had 20 available, similar to this year. Last year I sold them for $98. So this year, $195. That might seem like a huge jump, but this year, not only did I put more time into the handmade embellishments that went into each pack, I also included a large pack that your journal is packed in. It had a lot of extra vintage items, and I included a special gift, but I spent a lot more on packaging. And like I said, I'm not using a formula. However, this year, since I was using so much packaging and like extra little cutesy bags to pack everything in, I actually kept track of all of that. And so, for instance, I included some little, well, I don't want to give that away in case, well, this video is probably going up after. Anyways, I included a little pair of mini scissors in the gift, and those were $10 for 20. And so I would just do the math and figure out how much each one of those were. And so I did that with all of the extra packaging that I did have to buy. And so that definitely played into the fact that I was able to raise my prices quite a bit. But also, I knew that last year they just sold out way too quick, and honestly, pricing them just a little bit more, like $10 more is usually what I would do, to try to slow that demand down and then keep those available for someone who really wants them. Again, I don't always love how that works, but that is how it works. So some other things that I keep in mind are if I'm making income from a YouTube video where I'm also making these things, such as this video, I'll make some income from this. So I keep that in mind with pricing. One thing that can kind of screw up pricing and being able to price your things at a price that is fair is that sometimes when new journal makers come in, they will really undercharge on their journals. So let's say I make a journal and they make something similar. I'm selling mine for $150. They sell theirs for just $15 for a series of reasons. They don't have a following. They are trying to get their name out there. That's how you kind of have to start. When I first started, I made a pretty big decision. I was way newer. I wasn't really well known, but I did actually sell my prices closer to what other people were. Not quite as much, but I really tried to keep it in that range. I would go on Etsy all the time to see what the average price was. And so many times I was like, dang, they are selling their journals for way too much. But that's like the going price. And so I would stay closer to that. And I definitely think that benefited me. However, I know that's hard because if you do have it, your price is too high, then you may not end up selling. I just worked really, really hard on advertising all the time. I would post pictures on Instagram, Facebook, anything else that was available at the time, and I would make a video about it all the time. And I would say this journal is for sale. At that time, I was probably just making like one journal at a time, but that also goes into my time for advertising. Another thing that you want to take into consideration is taxes. If you are selling stuff, if you're making income from this, at the end of the year, you're probably going to be paying taxes, or you should be. And so that's something to just take into consideration. What else? Other business expenses that come along with selling handmade items online, such as website fees, tools that you can't necessarily charge, like let's say my sewing machine. It was $120 years ago. So those are kind of random things that you maybe can't charge too much for on each journal, but I do kind of keep a separate little grouped amount for like overhead charges, I think it's called. And so I always I add that in as well. What else? And yeah, so I think that those are the main things. And again, I know that this might not necessarily help you come up with a formula, but I wanted to explain to you how I come up with pricing for my own things. And I really do hope that some of that information might help you out in pricing. Again, when I do these journal collections, I do make on average around that same amount that I just made for this. But I only do journal collections once every so often, probably like a few a year now. A long time ago, I used to do them way more frequently. However, I didn't have Patreon. And so, yeah. So I do think that having a journal collection is just one more way that kind of helps me be able to sell my journals. They get sold out almost every single time, but that's because I'm sharing along the way. People get excited. More people are reached because I'm posting so much about that journal collection in advance that by the time it is the day to list them, the most amount of people that possibly can know about those journals usually do. So with that said, I hope that this was some information that was helpful to you. I don't think I'll ever be someone that makes like a specific video that's going to teach you how to price your things, but if you do have any other questions that are a little bit more general, feel free to ask below. And with that said, don't give up if this is something that you're trying to do. It is a lot of hard work, and I do think that you have to go quite a bit of time with putting in way too much time for what it's worth. But if that's what if that's your goal, then I definitely think it's possible. So that's all. I will see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.